I'm here today with Dr. Mori Morris-Mitchell, one of the co-authors of a new book titled The Book of Joy, which features 30 international heart-centered female authors as they take you on a journey to ultimately find, choose, live, and share more joy. Mori is a certified Canfield trainer who taught social work classes for more than 20 years. She's a highly skilled, self-motivated professional with diverse skills, expertise in training, development, coaching, and consulting, and skilled with building strategic partnerships to promote forward-thinking leadership. She enjoys inspiring women to dream big. You can learn more about Mori at drmorimorrismitchell.com. So Mori, it's so wonderful to have you here with us today. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Certainly. So you've had, a varied background. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Well, I've been teaching seemed like forever. And so I'm no longer teaching, and people always ask me, are you retired? And I would say, no, not really, because when I really did leave my teaching position after giving careful consideration. Didn't really think that God was going to ask me to give it up, or that he heard me when I was a little girl that I wanted to write. So that's what happened. I'm following my dreams to write. And also I'm interested in screenwriting. I'm still interested in coaching, as you indicated. And I really want to work with families who are hurting, especially with their young people, and getting them to be more in tune with themselves. So that's in a nutshell. I think you kind of really dove into what I'm really what I'm about, but I'll answer any questions that you have.
Sure. Well, one question is, before we get into the new book, what other writing have you done previously?
Purely academic. Okay. And that has been so long ago. So I have not done any writing at all. I'm currently right now working on a novel. I attended Karen Kingsbury Writing Intensive this past June. I enjoyed it. She's looking for potential authors, and she suggested her challenge to us was to write the story, a novel, if you will, fiction or nonfiction, and she would submit it to her publisher, and they would hopefully, if it's good enough, that they will publish it. So that's the only writing I've done. I'm working on it now. Hopefully I will have my first 3 chapters submitted to her by the end of this month.
Oh, wonderful.
So no, I have not done as much writing as I would like. What I did learn from that particular workshop was how much I didn't know. And I also learned that as a result of the conferences that I have attended that you have coordinated. So I'm eager, I'm excited. I'm just wanting to learn more and get myself out there.
Sure. Well, good. It certainly is an interesting, kind of esoteric industry. And for people who are not familiar with it, it's just all, like a black box. I mean, it's, a lot of unknowns, but, I'm glad that you're figuring it all out and making it happen.
Slowly.
Well, it is a journey. It's a saga, right?
It's a journey.
None of this happens overnight for certain. So the new book is called The Book on Joy. Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about and how you decided to participate?
Okay, great. Thank you for asking the question. As I said before, Jen Frazier is the coordinator of this particular project. And I knew Jen from our trainings with Jack Canfield. And everybody's heard of Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup of the Soul. And she had worked some with Jack as a trainer. And we've talked a couple of times, and then she sent me an email and asked if I would consider being a part of the group. And I was really elated because she asked me, first of all, and also I got the opportunity to work with approximately 30 other amazing women. And not all of these women are professionals. they're professionals in their own right. Some of them are trainers, some of them are coaches, some of them have businesses, and some of them are grandmothers um, who have also wanted to write. So that's how I got involved with the project. And I'm glad I did, because they want to share their idea of joy and how they can impact the world as well.
Well, it's nice to have that many different voices, all represented with their own particular points of view and experiences. And so, it sounds like an exciting project.
It is.
So tell us a little bit about your chapter. What
Okay.
what was that specifically about?
Well, my chapter was lessons my grandparents taught me about joy. I idolized my grandparents. They're no longer living, but at any rate, so I wrote about several key points that impacted me in terms of how they dealt with crisis in their lives and also joy. When as a little girl, visiting my grandparents, on Sundays, we used to have these big Sunday dinners, and I would listen to them as they would talk and about their challenges, and also, how they wanted us to rear our families and how they wanted us to be as an adult. So essentially, what I learned from them is how to outsmart what I call the joy robbers. And so the emphasis is placed on the process itself in terms of the joy process, in terms of the challenges, the wins, and understanding yourself. Since all of us will encounter some difficulty in our life, we're not immune, but the important thing is in terms of how we respond to the difficulty. And since it is a process, we need to understand that it is temporary, even though when we're going through it, it seems like it's going to last forever, but it's temporary. And if we just kind of wait it through, in the end, we'll learn some key lessons about that process. Hopefully that will stay with us forever, and that we can pass on to friends and family members as well.
Well, I couldn't agree more about getting through something hard. So there's a quote that you wanted to share. Is that right?
Yes, the quote is, life doesn't have to be filled with joy. And I think it's an anonymous quote that I used in my chapter. It speaks for itself, I believe, is that you don't have to be perfect in order to enjoy joy. You just have to want it bad enough. So that's the reason when I saw that quote, it resonated with me. I wish I knew the author, but it's to me, it spoke volumes that you just don't have to be perfect. And I think a lot of times people think that, in their lives that I can't do this, or I can't do this better than my friend Mary down the road. Just be yourself and enjoy who you are, because as you are pacing this journey, as I said before, there are going to be some lessons that you're going to learn. And I think I remember Jack's Canfield saying something similar about keeping your eyes on your own paper. Don't try to compare yourself with someone else, because you have some skills that Mary doesn't have or Jack doesn't have. And just keep, stay in your lane and just keep, trudging along.
Good advice. Good advice. So what do you hope that people will take away from your chapter the most?
Well, I hope people will understand that they too can have a joy-filled life, and that they will not become entrapped by world's enticements. I hope they will begin to move forward in terms of knowing who they are, loving others, being grateful, and also forgiving themselves for the mistakes they may have made.
And what about the book overall? What kind of impact do you see it making?
Well, I think I want people, when they read the book and also read my chapter, to prioritize what is most important to them. Again, they don't need to be educated. They don't need to be rich in order to be successful. In other words, you just have to be yourself. And so I feel like joy is more than material things. Um, of course, it is. Some people will think that it depends upon one's perception, but I think joy is more important than material things. It will, if you are introspective, it will help you to create the kind of person you want to be, and also the world, to participate actively in creating the kind of world that you would like to have. So that's what I hope, how the book will, how people will perceive the book, and also how it will impact them as well.
Good, good. So we're still in a pandemic, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
How did you and the other co-authors launch the book? What types of things, activities, events, if any, have you all been able to do?
Well, most of the things that we did, like everyone else, it was online. We continue to have our usual Wednesday group meetings and seeing how everybody were progressing. But when it came for the day of the launch, what our coordinator did, she has an acquaintance, I think, matter of fact, in New Jersey, as a matter of fact, somewhere on the lake, they did a live streaming, and they did like blow by blow interviewing all of the authors who wanted to participate or had time to participate. It was way into the wee hours of the morning. When I say way into wee hours of the morning, we're talking about like 3 or 4, because we had participants that were from other countries as well. So we had about 8 ladies that were from different countries. So it was live streamed. There was a celebration afterwards, and we could see some of the art portions of the celebration, as it was being live streamed. They were giving us updates in terms of the different categories, whether or not we hit number 1 or where we were, number 10, number 7, whatever. And it was fun. It really was fun. And I got a chance to participate in some of that.
Good, good. Well, that's exciting. I'm sure that had to be quite an event.
It was. It really was.
So in terms of future projects, you mentioned the novel already. Mm-hmm. Are there other things that you have in mind?
Oh, yes. The novel that I'm working on is entitled A God You Can Trust. And they tell me that you need to focus on the novel that you're writing. But I see a sequel coming out of it because of the protagonist that's in there. I'll just briefly say that I have a female protagonist, whose son is dying. And the female protagonist was a Christian, but became what I want to say, she just forgot about the Lord. She grew up in a Christian home, and then she just decided that she, because of certain things that happened in her life, that she did not want to keep the faith. But then her son became interested because of a neighbor taking him to church. He became interested, and when he began to die, he began to talk to his mother more seriously about accepting Christ, and she learned some lessons from him. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm still working on it.
Sure, of course.
I'm still working on it, and it's a doozy. Sometimes I have to put it down because I get emotional when I'm writing and when I'm reading.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Well, that's another long-term project. I know that to write a novel like that's got to take a long time.
Yes.
So again, the title of the new book that just came out is The Book on Joy, and it's an anthology with 30 different authors. You can learn more about Mori at Dr. Mori Morris-Mitchell. That's all strung together, no hyphens, no periods, nothing else. Dr. Mori Morris-Mitchell.com. So Mori, thanks again so much for joining us, and congratulations on all the progress that you've made, the new book that's come out. Really glad to see it.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.